heard now, our meeting will be also recorded. I just have to inform you about that who is against that this will be recording. Unfortunately, this person has to leave from our discussion. And this was a fourth point. It means it will be recorded, this meeting, our discussion, and also it will be published on a website of Estonian Association of Street Dancers. Already, I would like to say that during our discussion, to be a little bit not so official or not so formal, I call this, instead of official, very official name, Estonian Association of Street Dancers, I just say Street Dancers Association, just to inform you. So, and as I see, Renegade is already ready for our very, I hope, very interesting and very fruitful discussion. Hello, Renegade, and I hope you you enjoy our meeting. You also give us impact, a big impact and contribution to our discussion. And I would like to start already with the first question, or maybe you would like to introduce yourself. I already did it in Estonian, but maybe you would like to say just to introduction something to all participants of tonight's discussion.
Hey, hi Pete, this is Kevin. Just call me Kevin. I just want to say thanks for you guys for doing this for your community, because it's very important that people are informed as to what's happening, because there's a lot of misinformation out there, and initiatives like this help to clear up everything. That's it. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Kevin. And let's go. Let's start. We prepared for you in advance 10 questions. And our discussion will be like in two sessions, two parts. One first with our prepared questions. And the second part, we give a possibility to all participants of the discussion, if they have, to ask from you additional questions. It means it will be a real live discussion. So first, in Estonia, there isn't one system and cooperation in breakdance. Several groups are organizing events and trying to promote this area at the same time. What is your opinion on whether this approach is sustainable? Or there should be one professional organization, or, for example, I don't know, Estonian Street Dancers Association is the only one that works together with Estonian Dance Sport Association. Others are, let's say, self-made without regulations. What is your opinion and what is your suggestion?
It's very complex, actually, because we have the same thing in a few countries at the moment, because people don't know what's really going on. The main issue is that there's no legitimate way of doing this unless they're recognized by the WDSF. So anyone can put together a federation or an association, but it has no legitimacy unless they are recognized by the WDSF. So my advice is that everyone get together and form an organization or join an existing organization that has connections to the WDSF, or what you're doing is just not legit. Because this, like you said, there's no regulations, there's no guidelines, there's no connection to the process of what's going on. So it's completely not legitimate.
Okay, thank you. Second question. If the B-boys can only be reached Olympics through the official way, we mean National Federation of Estonian Dance Sport, but don't need this to participate in other major competitions, can do it themselves if they wish, no organizations need it. So people may ask, why do we need this one union at all? What to do?
Because this is a completely different type of platform. It would be like saying, oh, I don't need to enter a qualifier to go to the Rebel BC1, for example. there are steps that you have to go through to enter these competitions, you know. In the case of the Olympics, you have to go through the WDSF, which is the only recognized international federation for dance sport, which is what breaking comes underneath. So there's only one way to go to that pathway, and that's via the WDSF, and that's via the NMB, or the national member body, which is the federation that is a member of the WDSF. It's not possible to just turn up. That's not how the Olympics works.
Thank you very much. So, third question. How important is to start building an Estonian national team for b-boying, to bring all the dancers under one team and to have a strongest break dancers together? Why is it important?
Why is it important? Because that's the only way to get things done. Some countries are already ahead of the curve. In America, they've got a team, they have coaches, and they have, I think, a little bit of sponsorship. We have the same in the UK. We have Breaking GB. We're putting together our team now. I know in Belgium, they have a national team. Holland is putting together their national team. So there's various countries already doing this process, and the earlier you do it, the better your chances of being in the Olympics, right? I mean, for most countries, 2024 isn't even on the table. It will be about 2028. So if you can start now and start developing your athletes for 2028 or 2032, it would be better to start it now. The earlier, the better. I think at this early stage as well, more countries will be willing to share information. But as the Olympics starts, people are going to be more secretive about their methods or whatever. So right now is a good time to start when other people are still building structures, and you can maybe take a bit from UK and a bit from Holland and a bit from Belgium, and just have a mature development as soon as possible.
Thank you very much. And let's continue with our fourth question. Break dancing will be part of Olympics. How will this affect the future of the street dance community?
I don't think it will. I mean, there's always this fear in our scene that organizations or companies or whatever will affect breaking. But breaking it's not dependent on those external entities. It's its own art form. When I think of like salsa, like there's all these salsa competitions all over the world, but that doesn't affect salsa in the clubs in Cuba or Colombia or wherever. It's like two separate worlds, you know, like they are separate, and one doesn't affect the other, except maybe more people will become interested, and there'll be a rise in professionalism. For example, some athletes or dancers or whatever you want to call them will become sponsored. So it's two different worlds, but I don't think they even have to you know, you can exist in both worlds. You can exist in one of the worlds, and you can exist in no world. It's up to people. I don't think it's going to change how breaking is as a culture at all.
Yeah, I think it's a very strong and important message, this answer from you.
Yeah, I think what it is, Pete, is that a lot of people think in like a zero-sum way. So they think if someone gains, they lose. But it's not like that. It's like it's open for everybody to do or not do. It's your choice if you want to stay underground, or if you want to go on television and be a commercial dancer, or if you want to be a sports person doing breaking in the Olympics. Like no one can tell you what to do or how to enjoy the art form. You know, it's completely open.
Thank you very much. Fifth question. Right now, break dance in Estonia is separated from other street dance styles. Estonian Street Dancers Association wants to connect all street dance styles and work together. What do you think about that? How are street dance styles connected in your country?
It's kind of the same, to be honest. They are separate. I mean, it's all under one umbrella, but they are also very separate. Personally, I think it's good to have everything under one roof sometimes, but not every time. Sometimes you need events that are dedicated to specific dance styles, because they are kind of specialist. So like if I'm at an event, do I want to see crump, for example? It doesn't really interest me, you know, so not everything's going to interest me. So maybe I just want to be at a breaking event one day, or a stand-up event one day, or a Vogue event one day that's just Vogue or whatever, you know. So I don't think there's any necessity to have everything under one roof, but sometimes it's helpful if you want to build a community. Once the communities are built, then they can split off and do their own things maybe. But at the beginning, you know, like to have a community, maybe it's helpful to have everything under one roof.
Okay, thank you. Now at the moment we are in the middle. 5 questions already asked, but I would like to inform you, Kevin, and also all participants that I'm a moderator who is moderating here on, let's say, on the picture, but behind we have also my good colleague, also member of our board of Estonian Street Dancers Association, Britta. She is moderating all your questions. It means all write it questions in our chat, and also if you would like to ask questions later, also you have to put the sign or raise hand, and Britta will be moderating that. That's why I'm very confident, because I have a very good technical support. Thank you, Britta.
Thank you, Britta.
So let's continue. Question number 6. Street dance hasn't always been so official, documented and regulated. Street dance is getting more popular and respected as a sport in different sport communities. Some people think that street dance isn't underground anymore because there are and will be more rules and regulations. How do you comment? Actually, you already started to comment this issue, but yeah, how do you comment this question?
I always have one question to ask people. How did they find out about street dance? That's always my first question, because most people that are not from New York or America or wherever, like, how did you find out about it? If it wasn't through commercial means like the media, right? Like, we all found out about these dances through the media, through television, radio, everything, right? So what does it mean to be underground? It hasn't been underground since 1982, you know? When the tours started and the movies started, like, that was the end of underground, right? And I don't mean that underground ended. I mean, it wasn't just exclusively underground. It created 2 worlds straight away. So you had the underground world, and then you had, I guess, let's call it the commercial world, but not in an insulting way. And all of us that are into it started with the commercial world, right? But we can still go underground. But unless you're in those communities, you can't call yourself underground, right? No one from Europe can call themselves underground. It doesn't even make sense. The dances are not from Europe. The dances are from America. So unless you live in the hood in America, you are not underground. It's just pretending, okay? So now there's another platform, which is the sports platform. And in the sports platform, they have their own rules. And those rules are regulations and guidelines and policies. So things like safe sport and drug use and all this, they have to be regulated. In the underground, they don't have to be regulated. We can fight. I can talk to women inappropriately, whatever. It's just underground. No one cares, right? But in the sports world, these things are not allowed. You're not allowed to be judging when you're high or drunk or whatever. Like, I think that's a good idea, right? It's not for everyone, but then just stay in the world that matches your vision, right? No one's being forced to go into any world. But I would say that for kids and stuff, especially that are not from the hood, like, why even pretend that you're underground? You might just be into the commercial side or the sports side, you know? Like, it's just more people being involved in our art form. I don't think it's going to affect the art form in any negative way. Those people probably wouldn't have been into breaking or street culture regardless, you know? I do hear a lot of people from parts of Europe talk about underground and all that, and I just find it a bit fake, to be honest.
Thank you very much. From my side, I can just add to your answer in this way that I think this answer, this question, and this answer from your side maybe was the most important.
Okay.
To understand, yes, to understand, and this is a issue what we would like and what we need to explain for all breakdancers community here in our country. This is a main thing. Yeah.
No, sorry, I just want to add something as well. Like, I don't want to go too deep into politics and history and all this kind of stuff, but people have to realize that these art forms come from the Black community in America, right? So it's a little bit offensive when I hear people that are not from those communities talking about what's real and what's underground and all this kind of stuff, right? They've never walked in the shoes of anyone that's from this background, you know? So I don't think it's their right to speak on what's underground or what's real and all this sort of stuff, you know? Like, when you've lived amongst us, then you can speak like that. Apart from that, it's just dress up. It's just pretending. Yeah. So, sorry.
Very good. Thank you. Very informative and very important notice. So, question number 7. How important are the qualified judges in a break dance? How many qualified judges there are in Europe today? Do you know it?
I don't know exactly, but I do know that we've certified maybe 100 worldwide. It's been slow because obviously this change is new, okay? And like, some people are going to resist it because they don't really understand what's happening and why these things are needed, which is why your questions have even come up. It's super important where we're going with the professional sports and the professional arena. It's very important. In fact, it's a requirement that judges are certified and trained, right? There's we all know about silly judging and people sitting and filming and talking and disappearing for a drink or a smoke or whatever. I mean, this is just, for me, it's unacceptable, and we need to have change in our scene and in our way of looking at the professional world, right? Certified judges is just the start. I think there should also be hosts need to be trained. I think that DJs need to be trained. I think that organizers need to be trained, just so that the quality goes up, right? They're just guidelines. It's not like it's this way or the highway kind of thing. It's guidelines for the most part, right? In terms of the Olympics and the IOC, you have to have these things in place. You have to have certified judges. You have to have judges that are trained and accountable and responsible for the work they do. I remember when we were in Buenos Aires for the Youth Olympic Games, the question came up, why were those people chosen as judges, right? And of course, we're like, well, you know, they're like pioneer or accomplished dancer or whatever. And to the IOC, that just sounds crazy. It's just like, and like, that's not any form of credential outside of the discipline itself, right? Like, you need to be able to show a transparent way of how someone became a judge, because at the end of the day, winning a competition, an amateur competition, it doesn't really mean anything, right? Like, oh, I won a competition, now I can judge. Yeah, but do you have the knowledge, the experience, the maturity to judge? Just because you won a competition doesn't qualify you as a judge, right? You need to have knowledge, you need to have experience, you need to have an understanding of the discipline, more than just being able to do it, right? And I think that the certification process and the training process is like a stamp, a guarantee that the people have undergone a particular process, right? Simple. I can drive a car, I can get in the car, put in the key and all this, but in the real world, you need a license. And that license, right, it enables you to do certain things. Like, it's just how it is. Like, this is how the world is. And the bigger these things grow, the more regulations are needed, right? Because it just turns into the Wild West after a while. And there needs to be some sort of regulatory body or organization that makes sure that everything's in place for everyone's benefit, not for one group's benefit or anything like that. It's about everyone being treated fairly and having a way to deal with any issues that may come up, whether it's complaints or praise for an organization or whatever, right? Like, these things are just helpful. It's part of human communities. You start off in a small tribe with 50 people or 100 people, and then you might grow into a village, and then certain rules and regulations come into play, and then you might turn into a city, and then more regulations come into play. And then when you turn into a nation state, that's a completely different level. So we're moving from the small village into a city now, or maybe even a nation state, you know, like, there are going to be regulations, there are going to be checks and balances so that everything's fair. It has to be.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Very deep. Very deep.
Sorry for my long answer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm more than sure our participants appreciate it. It's very important, let's say, to have good advices and good thoughts from abroad.
Thank you.
So question number 8. If we compare breakdance with other dance styles and different sports, how respected is it in the world? What are the most important steps internationally for breakdance having more support, respect, and high quality?
I think that's happening organically. We have probably as much visibility as any other dance style, apart from, say, the TV stuff like So You Think You Can Dance or whatever, like the choreo stuff. In terms of respect, well, the IOC want us at the Olympics, right? That speaks volumes just on its own. Like, we were chosen to be the kind of like the first cultural discipline to become a sport in the Olympics. I mean, that's really an achievement for something coming from the hood in New York City, you know, like, from the hood to the IOC. Not that it's like, oh, that's the ultimate goal or whatever, but it's just a statement that, oh, actually, we respect what you do. You know, like, no one could ever imagine that. When breaking first started, that's impossible. Like, no one could ever imagine that we'd be on Olympic stages. It's been spoken about for 30 or 40 years, but it was always like I don't know, just a fantasy. Do you know what I mean? Like, or they would compare it to be like, oh, we would be like gymnastics or something, you know? Even in an old interview I saw, it was like the B-boys were saying, yeah, we'd show those gymnasts. And it's just like, actually, we're there on our own terms now. We're not there as an addition to gymnastics or anything, you know? We're there as breaking. We're there on our own values, on our own achievements, and not related to something else like gymnastics or something like that, you know?
Yeah, thank you. Question number 9. When you started developing b-boying in UK, how was the situation? How difficult was it to find the sponsors, financial support, and ways to advertise it, also in media? In Estonia, we have a lack of financial support to breakdance. That's why this question.
Right. That's not really my expertise, but I have seen that probably because, again, the commercial interests of companies and companies sponsor who they think they can get visibility from. It's as simple as that. It's business. If you can provide visibility and popularity, let's say, then they will sponsor you. If you want to stay underground, then they won't sponsor you, right? How can you bring value to a company? It's as simple as that. Like, breaking is now in the Olympics. How can you leverage that to a company to say, we have potential Olympians, give us money, basically, right? Or we have a plan to train Olympians, help us out, right? In the UK, we have lottery money. We have massive companies, of course, that have a business here like Nike or whatever, right? So it's maybe easier for us to approach these companies, but also it's very difficult because there's so much going on in the UK, right? In smaller countries like Estonia and that, I would imagine it might be easier to get sponsorship because there's not so much going on, right? So I think it's about how you can leverage your hustle, how you can show that you're involved in what's going on. Do you know, like we have Sunny and Karam and Tara and Roxy, who are internationally known dancers, right? So we can leverage that by saying, we have people who are actually in the world, not just in the UK. You know, again, this is a leverage point. If Estonian dancers are traveling and having popularity or success, then it's easy to get sponsorship in Estonia because it's like they represent the country. So how can you bring visibility? How can you bring value? And how can you leverage those things to get money? And every country is going to be different.
Mm-hmm. Again and again and again, we have to admit that the most important thing or word or phenomena is it's called creative economy.
Yeah.
It means break dancer. First of all, he have to be to change it from dancers to sportsmen, and again also to change to salesman. To salesman. To be good at marketing.
Yeah. I don't think we have to change from dancer to sportsman because I think that in the context of what we're talking about, it's a hybrid. It's a oh man, like what's them things called, man? The horsemen. What are they called? Not in the movies. It's got the legs of a horse and the top of a man, the body of a man. In fantasy movies.
Sagittarius.
Yeah, what are they called?
Centaur.
Ah, yes.
Centaur. Ah, you mean
Centaur,
yeah, Centaur,
right?
yes.
So we're like that. We're like, of course we're a dance, but that dance can be expressed as a sport, right? We're not sports people exclusively. We just train like athletes and we have to maybe behave like athletes in this context, but we'll never stop being dancers. Do you know what I mean? So we're like this weird hybrid between two worlds. So actually there's more possibility for sponsorship because you can get cultural and art sponsorship and you can get sports sponsorship. So we're probably better placed than most other disciplines, actually. Right? Like,
very nice. This new and very spreaded word hybrid working here very well. I mean, in a good manner.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about it, we're literally the first. I mean, there used to be art in Olympics like almost 100 years ago. And then I think it stopped for First World War or something like that. But we're the first in a very, very long time that's a true cultural expression, discipline, art that's being considered as a sport as well. You know, it's like we can kind of make the rules right now because we sit in this special place where, yeah, we can be like athletes. Yeah, like it's open. It's open for us to do with what we want, really.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And about our prepared questions, now will be last one.
Hey.
Then we can give a floor for all participants to ask freely from you all the questions. What do you know about b-boying reglement in Paris Olympics 2024? Could you please tell us about the qualification, participants, how many countries and dancers can take part, judging principles, all this stuff? What do you know about that?
So as far as I know, the discussion is still ongoing. So the final decision and stamp hasn't been done yet. But the road to Paris, you have to enter competitions, of course, WDSF recognized competitions. They will kind of filter through to like the World Championships or whatever, which is done by the WDSF again. And then there will be an Olympic qualifier series that will consist of 4 events in 2024 between at the beginning of the year, I think like before March and June or something. And those people will go to the Olympics on top of the continental winners and probably a World Championships they'll have as well. Yeah, so there'll be loads of different ways to get there, and it's open for everyone that's connected to the WDSF infrastructure. So it's basically about turning up. I don't think it's closed off to anyone. If you, like for example, the Estonians right now, they're in this kind of limbo because I think there's some political issues or whatever with the WDSF in Estonia. But the dancers there can contact the WDSF sports office directly, because obviously they're aware that there's a situation, right? And they can apply to go to those events independently of any federation, just because of this special situation for the next 2 months or whatever until it's figured out, right? So they just have to contact the sports office of the WDSF, which is, I think, based in Serbia. So Nenad Jeftik and his group, they'll look after the concerns of the Estonian dancers. And I would advise that people do that now and get connected to what's going on. For sure. Oh,
okay.
Judging will be for the trivium system that we came up with. The judges will be certified, of course, and we're hoping to have filtered out any strange judging in the next few years, you know, like to really get the best of the best to judge in Paris. And like I said before, that we have like an infrastructure where the judges will be scrutinized. So judges will be accountable, the judging will be transparent, the judges will be scrutinized, so there won't be any cheating or favoritism or bias or any of these things. We're really trying to put those things in place now so that people are treated very, very fairly. And there's no funny business, as there is sometimes even in Olympic level sports, you know, and especially in our scene, which sometimes is just super corrupt, right? What else is there? Yeah, 16 people will be in Paris that will be filtered from these events coming up in the next 2.5 years. No, that's it. Unless there's other questions that bring out more, I guess.
Okay, thank you. And Now we just ended with our prepared questions. Just to start our discussion, and I am using advantage of moderator of this event. I would like to ask from my side 2 questions to you. First question is, if I would like to identify or to ask you about your identity, who you are more, underground or sport?
Never sport.
Thank you.
This is my culture. I've been doing this since I was like 12 or 13 years old. It's for me I'll never be
Important to know.
Yeah, this is culture for me.
And
the thing is, right, and I've said it before, sorry to interrupt.
No.
I don't care about the Olympics. Right? The Olympics is just another platform. Red Bull BC1 is just another platform. The Undisputed is just another platform. All of these things are just different platforms. That's it, right? But if they're going to have it in the Olympics, I want it to be represented properly. That's it. And the only way to do that, in my opinion, is to get involved. We can stand on the side throwing peanuts and saying, oh, this is wrong and this is wrong. But that's not how you do things. Like if you have solutions or you see that there's an issue, you go and you fight for it, right? At the table, basically. There's no point sitting outside screaming at the windows. The world doesn't work like this, right? So you go, you negotiate, you try to make the best thing happen that you can. Sometimes you're going to be successful and other times not successful. But if you give up, and I'm sorry to use this word, but it all goes to shit. It could be way worse than it is, right? And it's going to happen anyway. So you can only try your best to move it towards your vision, right? You're never going to get your vision because the vision of breaking just does not work in that world, right? It's free expression. It shouldn't even be judged, really, right? But if we're going to judge it, let's judge it fairly. Let's have standards. Let's have accountability. Let's have all these things that are fair, right? Because in the hood, it's not fair. If I bring more people to the club, then I win. And if you bring more people to the club, then you win. And if I don't like that you won, I might take you outside and punch you in the face, right? We're not there. We're somewhere else. This is a sport arena. Can we have the rawness of what we do, but the rules that the sports offer, you know, the regulations and the safety that the sports offer. And that's why I'm involved at all, because I couldn't care less about the Olympics, to tell the truth.
Thank you very much. And my second question is, do you have any information or knowledge about who was a person or group of people who made this decision to let breakdance to join Olympic movement?
I've been trying to find out. So I have a story, right? And I mean, I might even get in trouble for this, but whatever, right? I'm guessing that, like theatre in the UK and other platforms, the Olympics is dying. Right? They need to reach out to youth culture. Youth culture right now is probably the biggest movement in the world, right? Like in terms of generating views and money and all of this kind of stuff. Nobody gives 2 shits about curling or squash or these dead sports that 5 people play, right? I remember when there was a clip of Bumblebee at the Youth Olympic Games. He had 1 million views. 1 million views. And the next highest that I saw was 14,000 views from some other sport. They're not even comparable to what we do. So when you're talking about reaching out to youth culture, which is often led by urban culture, right? So the underground always feeds the overground, right? When you look at that, you realize how valuable the thing is that we have, right? Everywhere you look, they use some sort of underground influenced way of advertising things, right? Whether it's music or movies or fashion or whatever it is, like we're right there. Everything comes from the underground, right? And then they exploit it or whatever. That I don't care about because they're going to do it anyway. My point is, can we make sure that we get something back from it as a community, right? So the more people that are involved, the better we're going to be treated, right? In some places in the world, they won't have hip hop jams because hip hop is associated with gangsters or whatever, right? But you can't deny me access to your venue if we're in the Olympics, right? Again, it's leverage, right? Like, you can't deny me access to certain spaces when we're an Olympic sport. No way. No way. So we have to use that to influence the young and the old, actually, right? To say, no, we're not what you think we are. We're something else. We're a crazy hybrid centaur.
Very nice to hear it. Very nice to hear it. Thank you. Thank you. So now I have questions to Britta. Do you allow me now to read questions what I see in our chat?
Yes, I allow you.
Britta's the boss.
Thank you. So at the moment, I see here following questions. Kadi is asking, is making breakdance a part of the Olympics and putting many regulations and rights or wrongs in the dance going to break and limit the creativity as well? Or how creative can breakers get on the floor of the Olympics?
So there's two answers to that question. The first is no, and the second is no. Let me explain. Breaking is not defined by which platform it's on. Breaking is a freestyle art form. It's a freestyle dance, right? Now, how you choose to express that, you can do whatever you want. In terms of at the Olympics, you can still do whatever you want, apart from lewd gestures, like grabbing your dick or whatever else, right? But no one's going to tell you how to break. The system that we designed for judging does not tell you how to break or how to win or anything. All it does is it records what you did, compares it to the other person, and you win or you lose. So creativity is still going to be valued because you're either going to be more or less creative than the other person, and that's going to have a value. You're either going to be more or less yourself, so your personality, your character, is going to be more or less than the other person, and that's going to be valued. So on top of the physical attributes that we normally associate with breaking, you're still going to have to be on the music. You're still going to have your own personality. You're still going to have your own moves. It's not like we haven't created any standards, so you don't have to perform a move to win or perform the move in a certain way to win. So you're completely free to do what you want.
Very nice. Thank you.
Apart from grab your dick.
Next question is coming from Christian. How are different dance organizations built up or functioning in other countries? What kind of organization or activities should we look up to or learn from?
It's different. It's like 72 countries in the WDSF, and they're all different. And some have good relations with the breakers and some don't. And some are just a mess in general, and some are really strong. I would say look to countries like France and Belgium and Holland, Russia, China, America now, UK a little bit, I guess. Because we're all putting things into place we're thinking long term. We're not thinking 2024, right? We're thinking, what infrastructure can we build that will produce dope dancers for 2028, right? So we start now, and then hopefully in 6 years we can get something really good, right? Identify who's dope, identify who's dope teachers, get those people to start teaching, right? Develop the dancers with a global view. So to see what's happening in the rest of the world in terms of the dance. Sometimes I go to certain countries and their ideas of breaking are a little bit behind, right? Because they don't travel, they don't go, they're not part of the scene, as it were, because there's not just one scene, there's loads of scenes. It's like an onion, and there's different layers to the scene. And if you don't travel, you're going to be caught in an echo chamber where you only see what, you know, all you see is all there is. Whereas there's actually a lot more that you're not seeing.
Yeah, very nice, very good opinion. So next question is coming from Emilia. What is Renegade's opinion? Will other styles of street dance make it to the Olympics one moment?
No. No. Sorry, I know you want a longer answer.
Okay. Thank you.
So the process. It's not easy. Those other styles would have to develop something that the IOC could look at and value, right? I mean, we'd like to deny it or whatever, and I did mention it earlier, but they can kind of say it's like gymnastics, right? And in that way, they can frame it as a sport. But some of the other dancers don't even look like sports. Do you know what I mean? We at least look a little bit like a sport, at least, right? On top of that, you need to have a judging system, and the other dance styles are nowhere near creating a judging system that's fair and that takes all of its qualities into consideration when they're judging. Right now, the other dance styles are super resistant even to judging systems, right? Or they have judging systems with silly standards, like score between 1 and 10 or whatever. That they really need to maybe look at what we've done and say, okay, how can we apply this? And it'll be a shortcut so they can have something that the IOC will recognize because they recognize what we've done. And then maybe you can start the conversation. And then you have to build infrastructure. Breaking has got such a developed infrastructure for the last 20 years or more, you know, like even starting with Battle of the Year and the stuff that Undisputed done. We've got ranking, we've got certified judges and all that. We've done that really, really quickly, right? Those other dance styles are nowhere even close to getting that done, right? Maybe in 20 years, maybe, if breaking really works in the Olympics, and they see that they could maybe even create a separate sub-platform, right? Because remember, once upon a time, the Olympics was just running, jumping, throwing, right? But now you've got things like artistic gymnastics and ice skating and all this kind of stuff, right? And boxing and all that. We have all these other things that fit into the Olympic vision. So maybe dance can fit into the Olympic vision, but they have to really take themselves seriously and present it to the IOC as, here is a thing, and this thing can help you with your visibility and speaking to the young or whatever else. But apart from that, no chance.
Thank you very much.
Sorry for my long answers.
No problem, absolutely, not at all. Mari is asking, considering the situation in Estonia, what are the recommendations on how to improve cooperation? What is your message to the entire Estonian break community?
They need to fix up really quickly. They need to sort it out. There's a saying in English, sit or get off, no, shit or get off the pot, right? Don't be in the way of progress. Like, it's just not going to work out. Things are going to happen anyway, right? So either be part of it or get out of the way. Simple. So all of the different factions or whatever, like, I don't even know why there's factions in Estonia. It's such a small country. Like, how do you even have beef? It's like, it's so silly, right? Get everyone in a room, have a conversation, shout, scream at each other for a day, right? Do whatever it takes, and then just keep it moving, man. Really. There's no point like throwing peanuts at each other and arguing and all. You'll get nowhere. There's nothing. And if breaking, moving to the next level is not your interest, just go away, go and dance wherever, who cares? But don't stop the people that are interested in moving things forward and the kids that want to be Olympians or whatever. Like, don't get in their way. That's pure evil, man, really.
Actually, it was a very easy and simple recommendation. Thank you.
Go in a room, shout and scream at each other, you know, put some gloves on or whatever it is, and then just fix it and then keep it moving.
Very nice. Thank you. Next question coming from Melanie. How many breaking coaches are there in the UK who train break dancers for the Olympics?
None. Technically, I'm the only breaking coach in the UK, and I have been for the last 15 years or whatever, 17 years. We're trying to develop that now, you know, like in reality, we're not that ahead of Estonia. It's just that we know where we're going. That's it, right? So we're gonna make coaches and get them distributed across the country so that people that are into breaking can at least get started. That's what's important, for things to get started, and then we'll figure it out as we go along, you know? I've been teaching now since I was 15. So like for 40 years or something, almost 40 years I've been teaching. So I do have a method of teaching or whatever, right? These things, they're already done. We just have to formulate them and to like make regulations and the syllabus for dancing or whatever, right? Like, to turn from teacher to coach is one jump, and then to distribute those practices across your country is the next step, right? Who are the good teachers? Identify them in Estonia, or send them out to things like Catch the Flavor and get them informed on what's going on, or send them to Belgium to talk to the people there who have a system set up. Get them talking to people, take the information back to Estonia, and then distribute it. It's really simple. It's really simple. It just takes work.
Thank you very much. Next question is coming from Lenel. Oh, it's quite a long one. So some people say in Estonia, dancers only need to train, but can do it by themselves and don't need national championships, jams together, training with the community, etc. You just said we need to meet and scream and argue, but what if some dancers don't even come and meet others?
Then they're not relevant. Like, all of these things, Peter, I've heard before, you know, like, yeah, you can do it on your own. So why have I never heard of you? Why have you not won Outbreak? Why have you not won UK Champs? Why have I never seen your IBE? Like, in your little gym with your friends that say you're great, it's easy to be the best. It's easy. Let's see you out there in the wild, up against Phil Wizard and Sonny and Victor and these guys, you know, like the ones who are actually out there putting the work in. Zeku, Amir, there's loads of them. Lee from the rug, there's loads of them. And every generation, there's loads of them, right? So you have this small percentage of people that are super elite level, and then you have like the general people, and then you have the talkers at the bottom that you never see anywhere. I'm not interested in what they got to say, to be honest. You know, like, In my generation, yeah, it was possible to train on your own in the front room or wherever, in the garage, and become okay, decent, right? Now and moving forward, there's no chance. There's no random person that's going to come out of nowhere and win the Red Bull BC1. It's not going to happen. You don't have the level. It's impossible. You have to be winning and traveling and putting that work in before you can even think of getting to that level. And it's easier when there's coaches, you know, like the development of even the people I've taught, some of the people I've taught, you can see that it was different from them just training on their own. Sonny did not come out of nowhere, you know? These people did not just appear out of nowhere from training in their bedrooms. It just doesn't work like that. They got involved, they got mentorship, they got help and assistance. They still had to put in the work. Don't get me wrong, you still have to put in the work, right? It's not like they've been lazy, but without that guidance and without that assistance, no chance. Not in the world these days, no chance. Nowhere. And then look at the guys that are at the top. They've all got mentors. They've all been trained by somebody. You can't name me one person that hasn't been trained by other people and brought up. Now, whether you choose to call them coaches or whatever, is not relevant. They are their coaches. When you look at Sugar Kicks, when you look at all these guys, they have coaches, mentors, and assistants all the way. And if there's one or two that don't, there's always one or two that don't, right? There's one or two people that are billionaires that didn't finish school. But for the rest of us, go to school.
So thank you very much. Actually, we are out of written questions, and I'm going to ask from Britta, do you see some raised hand in our Zoom environment? No. If there is not written questions anymore, oh, there appeared one written question. It's coming from Anita. What peculiarities and differences does the training and preparation process to practice for the Olympics have if we compare it to the preparation for a bigger and respectable international battle?
That is a good question. Personally, I think it's very different. The amount of rounds you're going to have to do for the Olympics and the whole, let's put it this way, in a normal international battle, you're going to get lots of turkeys, right? Which are like weaker dancers or whatever. At the Olympics, you're just going to get the best of the best. You can't beat the best of the best without being prepared. I've seen it so many times, right? Whether it's through stamina or a lack of strategy or just being generally unprepared. You can't just turn up. Those days are kind of over now, right? You really, people may not talk about it enough or show it enough. You have to train your ass off. And you have to, you know, start thinking of your nutrition and your sleep and it's just so many different parts now, you know? So a coach, a trainer or whatever is supposed to make that process easier for you so that you understand what the requirements are at that level, right? This is not just turning up to outbreak. It's not that, you know? And the process that Intact and Pluto and these guys took, for example, is kind of the same. They've been training very, very hard for a very, very long time and traveling a lot and battling a lot. Yeah, now that's just being formulated and put into a structure so that it doesn't take 15, 20, 30 years to get to that level. you can have that level in just a few years. If you look at the development of kids these days, right, you can see how different it is. At 12 years old, they are way better than they would ever be in 10 years ago or whatever, when the kid level was kind of kiddish, you know? When you look at Terra from the UK, who I think has been a massive influence on young B girls in the last 10 years, right? That didn't exist. It didn't exist before she came around and showed people that young women can do insane, incredible things, right? Now there's loads of them everywhere. Loads. They're just popping up in China, in Russia, in Ukraine, and it didn't exist before. It just did not exist. When you see some of the young kids like Lee when he was young, or Sonny when he was young, they didn't exist in the past. They just didn't exist. There's always been good kids, but not like this, not this quickly, and not this advanced. No chance.
Thank you very much. And next question is coming from Igor. Is it important to always dance on the floor in breakdancing, or can be limited to only the top breakdance?
It is important to dance on the floor, because like part of the judging is to do with levels and the authenticity to break culture and break style, which does include floor work, and it does include moves, and it does include freezes and stuff. So as a subcategory, you could have just the top bit, but to do the complete art form, you need to get on the floor, yeah.
Okay, thank you. And following question is coming from Mari. If the dancer takes the whole process seriously, what it can mean for his career?
I think that's self-explanatory. I mean, can you imagine being the first gold medalist breaker in the world? Like, it's amazing. Like, there's some countries where if you win a gold medal or something, they give you like £1 million, $1 million, €1 million or whatever. Like, yeah, a lot of people and countries are jaded about the whole Olympics thing, but in some places in the world, it's probably the most valuable thing to the country. Like, nationalism is actually a thing, right? And winning a football competition or whatever, a tournament, it's very respected. And if you won an Olympic gold, even if it's in breaking, it's quite special. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, like, they're going to be on television or whatever. They're going to be able to start their own schools that'll be funded by the government. Like, there's so many possibilities. It just depends how creative you are in your head. I think even as a potential, I mean, Sonny's just been signed by Adidas, and Karam has just been signed by Nike, and Gilu's been signed by Nike. Like, these things are happening, and they haven't won anything yet. We're not even near the Olympics yet, and it's already happening. So after the Olympics, the day after the Olympics is going to be like the most important day. What now? Schools, sponsorships, organizations, associations, like all of these things, they're going to go insane, especially if it's successful, which it will be.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Janeli is asking, what do you think how long it takes to train for an Olympic, and how the schedule looks like? How many trainings in a week? Any special physical training?
We're looking at it now. We're creating it now, right? I think that you can get to a world-class level nowadays within 4 years, personally, right? With right training and scheduling and guidance and assistance. To become an Olympian is probably just a little bit higher level than that, right? Maybe 5 to 10 years, maybe, possibly, right? We don't know what the process is yet. we're going to find out within the next 10, 15 years, the best ways to do it, how much of this is needed, how much of that is needed, what's not needed. Like I said, we're in the discovery phase right now. This is actually an exciting time for people to bring ideas and throw them in the melting pot and then see what's successful, right? This may never happen again, that we can come with new ideas and stuff, you know, because usually when things are exposed, they usually plateau a bit, because the success is what gets you to that point, and then they plateau. And then when there's stagnation, then someone comes with a new idea, and then it goes again, and then it plateaus, right? Same in science, same in everything. So right now we're actually in the rising phase, the discovery phase. Like, okay, what's good training process? How do we need to train people? Do we do like music classes? Do we do physical therapy? Do we do Wim Hof type class? Like what can we play with? Is it Ido Portal type classes? Do you go to New York for a month? Like, discovery. Let's find out what it is. Let's find out what's the best way to create super dancers, basically. Let's find out.
Okay, thank you very much. And following question is coming from Lenel. Also, again, Lenel is writing long questions.
She's with the long questions. Lenel!
So, what do you think about the president of Estonian Street Dancers Association, JJ? JJ is Joel Juht. How do you choose a leader to run this kind of organization in the world or in your country? How easy is to lead the organization that is non-profit, kind of charity, just for the dance to grow?
I mean, JJ's been around for time, right? That counts for something. Where I'm from, that counts for something, right? The fact that someone has been there and been present, and as far as I know, he's one of the only people that's brought in so many like international guests and all that kind of stuff, and set up these events or whatever. I don't think that one person should be leading anything personally. I think it should be a committee of people. And like I said, the earlier you start building that committee and finding out who's got which skills, the better it will be. You know, there's loads of different ways to skin this cat, but I think a committee is the best idea. Even in the UK, we have Breaking GB, which is our federation, and we have like a chairperson and a secretary, and I'm on the board and blah, blah, blah. But there's like about 8 of us on the board, and we have meetings and we have discussions and we decide as a group the best way to go forward. It shouldn't be down to one person.
Thank you. And following question is coming again from Lenel.
Lenel!
I know in Asia, there are some street styles that students can learn in schools, get grades, etc.
Yeah.
Do you see the possibility for street dance, break, or other styles becoming part of the school program in the world?
Yep, 100%, especially if we're in the Olympics. Again, leverage. I mean, we used to have something like that in the UK. I forget what it was called. Damn, something school or school something. But yeah, if you have an idea, you can approach these schools with these ideas. Like, it's physical therapy, it's mental therapy as well. So there's psychological and physical benefits from exercise, which is suffering right now because of gaming or whatever, right? COVID as well, like sticking people at home. So if you have a syllabus, an idea, a game plan, you have teachers going out and teaching, then you have competitions, and then you have a major competition at the end of the year to be the school's champion or whatever. Any of these ideas are possible. You just have to make it happen. Come with a game plan, go to your local government or whatever and say, yo, this can work. This will get kids out the house, get them out of the bedroom.
Thank you. This was very nice to hear. Again, Lenel is asking, how are people judging in Olympics? How subjective it will be, or there will be a strict system for judges?
The system is done. We've created it. We've it's art. There will always be some tiny degree of subjectivity, right? The training that we provide is to remove the subjectivity or to reduce it to just a little bit of noise, right? So there are guidelines how to judge. But the main thing about how we judge is not to have standards, to have a comparative model where you just compare two skills or two attributes against each other, right? And then you have 7 or 9 judges or whatever, and you'll remove the noise and you'll get a nice statistical picture of who won. That's the closest we'll get to fair judging, objective judging, because you can't have objective judging of art. It doesn't make sense. What you can do is to have training and guidelines on how to judge fairly and correctly, and then get the people who understand how the model works, and then you'll get good judging. But we already solved this problem maybe 10 years ago or so.
Thank you very much. Again, I'm asking Britta, do we have so many raised hand? No.
Nobody wants to know? Where the guys at?
We are out of written questions, and we don't have any so-called live questions. I think it's a moment to say on behalf of all participants of discussion, thank you very much. We appreciate a lot your contribution in this community in Estonia. And I hope to see all of you Paris 2024 on the dance floor. Thank you very much, and bye, and also bye for all participants.
Thanks for coming, everyone.
Have a nice evening. Have a nice evening.